Yeah, you can push
Yeah.
both directional keys, or you can have like bound keys, like the ones that you would normally use for your spells and such, can act as your diagonals. Oh, it looks like we're starting right here.
Oh, yes. All right. Ready to go.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we can talk about Arya real quick. So this is going to be, let's talk about the restriction on Arya compared to normal gameplay. There are three major things I can think of that separates Arya from the rest of the characters. The first caveat that you might be able to see just barely in the top right, Arya has half a heart. And this, you normally start with 3 hearts on a normal character like Cadence. Arya has half a heart the entire time for story reasons. It cannot be increased in any way. So 1 hit from any damage source will instantly kill her.
Mhm.
So another thing that happens is that due to story reasons, you're not allowed to drop the beat. So if you normally drop the beat on a character, like you don't take a turn, as you can see right here as we're bouncing around, if you don't take a turn, then you would drop beat. And for most characters, that means your coin multiplier resets back down, and some other minor effects usually, but not super important. If you drop beat on Arya, you also take damage as a damage source and instantly die.
Yeah.
And the final thing is that Arya, for story reasons, is locked to the base dagger, and that weapon cannot be changed.
Yeah, and that's one of the bigger ones. They do have the grace to start you with a potion as Arya, which is a free revive, but that's still 1 damage you can take across the whole run, pretty much. Also, something you might notice if you know a little about this game is that we're actually starting in the last zone of the game, which with the DLC is Zone 5, because in the story, Arya is like climbing back out of the crypt. So it's a little bit of a like weird curve, but she does have mechanics in the later zones to not make the difficulty feel backwards, which is good, but also does mean it's only getting harder from here. But for now, just trying to like find good items to get some strength in your run, because just because we're stuck with the base dagger does not mean we're never getting more damage with Arya. And like non-weapon damage sources are kind of really important.
Yeah, things that would increase your damage, like rings or glass jaw and such stuff like that, is what we're looking for. This being a roguelike, the layouts of the floors are randomized, but because they're procedurally generated, there are some rules to how everything is generated. So here in Zone 5, the way we have these like lightning trails that these wires lead to different side rooms, and the stipulation for Zone 5 is that the exit, you need to kill a mini boss in order to open the exit. The mini boss in the exit area are always in an 8x8 room that is a certain amount of distance at least away from where you start. So if we know there's a room close to the start, LusTher knows that the exit can't be there, and you kind of learn how to map out these areas the more you play and understand the rules. So we did pick up a few useful items. We did get a mana ring, which isn't useful yet, but with this shield spell that we're picking up, then this actually becomes really good. So the shield spell gives you protection normally for about 8 beats. Is it 8? I can't remember if it's 8 or... well, it might be more than that. But with the mana ring boosts your spells to their greater forms, and that makes the shield spell more powerful, last longer. Plus, there's a cooldown from when you cast a spell. You need to kill a certain amount of enemies in order to be able to cast a spell again. The cooldown is cut in half when you have the mana ring, so we can use those more powerful spells more often. So this is a really good find right off the bat. And we also did pick up some Earth Tomes. Earth Tomes are basically, you can use spells a limited amount of times using that tome. Earth is really good because it forms up a bunch of walls around Arya, which is really good for defense and offense because these can actually crush enemies if you push them into a wall.
Ooh, and we have Karate Gi here. Karate Gi is one of the most interesting items in the game because usually it's kind of scary. Usually it doubles your damage based off of just the base damage of your weapon, but also doubles the amount of damage you take. But Arya doesn't really have to worry about the downside of taking more damage because she only has half a heart anyways. So it's this item that's usually very high risk, high reward with any other character. But with Arya, it's probably one of the most sought after items you can get. It's not like the best thing ever, but it's still really nice to have.
Yeah, usually you want glass armor on Arya, but if you don't have glass armor or just need a damage source, the Gi is a great source to start off with.
Yeah, and with LusTher here still not having like a bonus damage source, I would say that it's a really good find right now.
Yeah, we have this thing where we have kind of thresholds that we want to try and meet for damage. The biggest one and the earliest one is we want to try and be at 3 damage early, because 3 damage allows us to kill minor enemies in 1 hit and almost any enemy with just 2 hits, which solves a lot of problems with enemies that would normally be a big pain to deal with. If we can possibly get to 5 damage, that would be great, because that one-shots almost everything in the game, but it's not as important as the 3. But LusTher's still looking around. We did find a glass shop right here. We could kill the shop. There's these secret shops. We actually ended up throwing for it. So you can kill the shopkeeper here, and we're getting a glass jaw, glass armor, and glass shovel here. So all of these are really important. So I did talk a little bit about Glass Jaw. Glass Jaw takes whatever damage and additives you have and then doubles all of that at the end. So because we converted our Gi to glass armor, we went back to 1 damage, but then the Glass Jaw puts it back at 2, so which is great. The glass armor soaks up 1 hit for free, so we can take 1 extra damage without losing anything. And then the glass shovel, shovels are actually more important on Arya because shovels determine what kind of walls we can dig. And remember that we are not allowed to drop beats. So the main way to correct for enemies being on the same parity as you as such, to make sure you don't move into them, is to dig nearby walls. With a glass shovel, we can dig all the way to tier 3 walls. Unfortunately, LusTher dropped the beat right there, so losing the potion. Still alive, but lost the potion. And in this run, we did see a potion room very early on, so we're not going to get another potion outside of Scroll of Need if we find it. So this is a little scary right here. Anyways, we didn't really discuss the zones that much. So each zone is divided into 3 floors and then a boss fight. We just took care of Fortissimo. The farther into the run you go, the more difficult the bosses become. Thankfully, Fortissimo 1's pretty easy. We got a flawless victory on the fight itself, though. Flawless victory is when you manage to defeat the boss without taking damage or dropping beat, which we can't really do on Arya anyways. So we ended up getting a flawless victory, which allows you to get chests at the back, and we ended up picking some strength boots out of that. But coming into this, into Zone 4 right here, we actually found a Conjurer, another secret shop, which allows us to use the gold we've gotten to conjure different item slots. And we ended up picking up Heavy Glass, which is like glass armor, then that it protects you, but it gives you the heavy status and protects for 3 hits instead of just 1. So Heavy Glass is extremely good right here. So as long as we're not dropping beats, we've got a little bit of protection.
Yeah, I would say dropping beats is the big thing right now because LusTher's playing really nice. But as you might have noticed at the start of Fortissimo, when the beat got dropped, it didn't eat the glass armor, it just ate the potion. So that doesn't count as a traditional like damage source that will consume the potion or like any extra hits you have. It just kills you at the source pretty much. So a lot of really good damage protection right now, but just has to play on that beat or else we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, especially since Zone 4 is very technical. Like Laurie mentioned, we're doing the zones backwards for story reasons. Zone 4 has the most technical enemies in the game. So the layout is that it's a giant square. You start in one corner, and the exit is always in the opposite corner. So you know where you're going. But this zone has the most technical enemies in the game, going from these harpies that cover really big distances. You have blade masters that will parry your hits, and you need to knock them away and then hit them when they charge. We have goblin bombers that want to bomb you diagonally. We have golems, which are the ooze golems that end up dropping ooze around, which is really, really bad because normally if you step on ooze, you're shrunk and you would take more damage, which doesn't matter. But you also can't do several things such as attack or dig, which means your options are very limited. Now, thankfully, we do have glass slippers on our foot slot right now, which protects us from a lot of those hazards, including the ooze. So that's not as big a problem right now.
Yeah, and also a very interesting thing that just happened was killing the shopkeeper, which is a very, usually not the easiest thing to do, but if you have the gear for it, usually good bombs, you can get it done. So that kind of removes the shop from the game for the rest of the run, but LusTher took kind of a gamble to grab the Shovel of Strength out of it, which not only has a bigger dig, but when you're holding it, you just deal +1 damage. So getting that damage boost multiplied by the glass jaw means we're gonna be at a pretty good spot for kind of this point in the game, because we should be, if I'm looking at the gear correctly, at 4 damage. You mentioned that the glass jaw multiplies your damage with your additives. I think it's one of the only damage multipliers that actually like does that. Like, I think the karate gi, for example, only takes your weapon into account, but the glass jaw takes everything. So it's, again, a really strong item that, again, with glass would be really risky on non-Arya characters, but since Arya it's kind of all or nothing in terms of taking damage, she can just, like, take those and not feel bad about it.
Yeah, the normal caveat with glass is that glass items are generally very, very strong, but they break when you get hit. But since we're not really allowed to get hit anyways, it's not really a problem. So LusTher, unfortunately, getting baited by that fire pig right there. Yeah,
that's a really horrible place for one.
Yeah, you really have to watch for hazards in Zone 4. Like the fire pigs, they shoot a fireball out, and that covers pretty much the entire horizontal row, and it's very easy to get trapped by one. I had one the other day blow up a gargoyle that was right next to me. Oh no, we dropped beat. Oh no.
Yeah.
So it looks like we have a respawn mod active to be able to complete the run more easily, because normally this would be, you would have to do an entire run from scratch.
Yeah, so that's good for the showcase for sure.
But yeah, that just really goes to show how difficult Arya can be, because just one mistake and you're out.
Yeah, and this game is like, it's not the meanest timing window ever, but it's not like the nicest. So definitely trying to be careful there. Good kill on Deep Blues.
Yeah, so Deep Blues, the chess space boss, you only have to kill the king, and the pieces move like chess pieces normally would. But we had enough damage on the dagger. The king only has 3 HP, so we could just throw the dagger straight up at the king and kill it instantly. So that's how you play chess, everyone.
Yeah, that's a boss that if you have the right gear for it, it's really funny, and we got to see that. But now we have Zone 3, which is definitely really tricky. I personally think it's one of the hardest ones to learn how to kind of like Zone 4 for all of the difficult enemies and traps is really easy to figure out where to go usually. You know, it's a square, you go to the other corner. Zone 3, for my money, is one of probably the hardest zone to learn in terms of like figuring out where the map wants you to go when it generates. So
I think it's just the hardest zone in general, because not only is the layout really weird because it follows Zone 2 rules, but with a lot more space, but the enemies are just ruthless here with, like, you have the Hellhounds that cover a bunch of space, you have all these coals and ice on the floor that can slip you up, you have goblins that chase after you, and if you have really unlucky layouts, you can just get a swarm of enemies at the very beginning of the map and just get easily cornered. Like, I consider this the hardest zone overall. Like, it's not as technical as 4, but it's just, you could just get clobbered through no fault of your own.
I think it's the biggest, like, really check zone in normal runs when you're going from Zone 1 and 2 first, where I think a lot of people can get through Zone 1 and 2 with a little bit of practice without worrying too much, but Zone 3, you really need to like be geared up or be really proficient.
Okay.
And with Arya, the hot coals in the lava sections of the stage would be one of maybe the scariest hazards in the game. But with glass slippers still available, they're a lot less scary.
Yeah, well, we had a funny thing happen. We saw a blast shrine where if you bomb it, you get several items. And the irony was bombing using the bomb spell on the blast shrine to get the throwing charm, which we'll talk about in a second. But then there was a bomb charm in the chest literally right beneath the blast shrine. That's really funny. So bomb charm is really, really good item. It makes your bombs, normally they explode in a 3x3 space and can harm you. The bomb charm turns it into a 5x5 explosion that can no longer harm you. So your bombs are really, really good this way, especially when you have 8 of them stocked up. And the throwing charm allows you to throw once any weapon, and the first time you throw it, you get a boomerang effect, which means you can throw your dagger and instantly pick it back up, moving on the next beat, which is really good. Anyways, we went through Conga. Conga went by really fast. Normally, you're supposed to destroy the Conga lines, and then King Conga comes off his throne to attack you, but you can bomb the throne like LusTher did, and just finish the fight early that way. So there's a lot of really neat strats that can just skip entire phases of boss fights.
Unfortunately, really losing the last hit of the heavy glass in that encounter, but
yeah, we might check for a another glass armor in the if we can get a flawless up through the Zone 2 boss, because Arya can't get extra weapons. The amount of items she gets out of black chests are severely reduced, which is good because that's better odds of picking up items she does want, like glass armor. And the boss chest is usually very, very good. Like the way this game works with its item like tiers, stuff that you get out of Flawless Victory boss chests are generally higher tier items than anywhere else in the game.
Yeah, it's usually in a lot of characters that can hold different weapons. It's where Zone 1 boss chest is usually where you're, if you don't already have it, hoping to get the weapon that will be like your rock throughout the whole run. Coral Rip here, especially with throwing your weapon, or bombs, or earth, there's a lot of strats for him. He usually tries to run away from you until you attack most of the tentacles, but there's a lot of things you can do to just get him.
Yeah, with the earth spell, if an enemy's by a wall and you push them into that wall, they get crushed for infinite phasing damage. So, and it even skips like the extra fight, like any extra phases for that fight. So using earth is just, it's fun. Alright, we're finally in Zone 1 right here. This is actually our last zone. And it's kind of a little weird going here last because we didn't talk about it earlier, but we have the mechanic called Zone Bleed, where enemies from later zones for Arya, like when we had Zone 5 and Zone 4, Zone 3, like a bunch of those enemies actually show up here for Arya, and they normally don't. So we have to deal with weird stuff like goblins, wind mages, armadillos. Have to be very, very careful approaching these boss rooms.
Yeah, this is a wild boss room.
The nice thing is we still do have the mana ring and mana shield on deck, as we can use it for a panic button at any point. So LusTher's in a pretty good spot despite not having any armor right now.
Yeah, really, really good offensive spot.
Yeah, just playing it very, very safe right here. Having enough damage to be able to pop that Minotaur in one hit.
Yeah, very nicely done. And now we're only at one floor left before the final boss here, so hopefully it goes smoothly. With strong dig in Zone 1, it can be very easy to find the boss sometimes, and we can already see it. But we also see so many enemies bouncing around in there. I think there is something behind that dragon because it's getting stuck, which is something we haven't explained. The dragon is big, so there can be an enemy behind it sometimes that you just can't see because the dragon is really big and that can mess you up. But the dragon was like getting stuck when it was not on the wall, so that was kind of a giveaway that there was something there that maybe was getting hidden. But now we're at the final boss for Arya's campaign, the Golden Loot, and
We got a forward rider right off the bat. So there is a quick kill for the golden loot fight. Unfortunately, because of the spawns that we get out of the sarcophagi at the top are random, and unfortunately we got forward riders, which is the absolute worst. Oh, unfortunately taking the death right here. It's okay. We have the respawn mod, but we can do a quick kill if we don't get riders in a bad spot. But the first instance of that did not happen. But we do have the shield spell back up. So the gimmick of the fight is that you're normally supposed to use the bounce traps and such to adjust your parity, because the loot keeps trying to move away from you, or it moves in such a way that you try and move next to it and it'll attack you. So you have to kind of move into a spot where it will move next to you and you attack it, and then you just kind of keep doing that until you can just finish it off like that. So times when we hit the stairs right here, and that's time.
Yeah, and that's Arya. She's hard. I mentioned she's one of the few characters I haven't beaten. You can probably see why now. For sure. She's kind of like one of the bigger challenges in this game, other than the obvious big challenge in Coda that a lot of people know, but asking people to play Coda is a lot.
It is a lot. Alright, so we had a final runtime of 18:37. Not bad for a marathon. It's tough to do Arya in a marathon. And so you really just do usually just want to play this character safe and just make sure you can get a run going, because the randomness in this game is really amplified on the harder characters. So just being able to, you can fish out a good build from whatever you're dealt with is always a good strat for marathon.
Absolutely. And we saw a lot of good items throughout that run, for sure.
And I think they're going to be... We have a bonus Bard run, I believe, which I think they'll set up for in just a second here.
Yes, this was met. We should be coming in soon.
Alright, this is going to be a funny one.
And I believe it's also seeded, so this game normally you play unseeded. The game just assigns you a seed, and it generates the levels based on that seed. With the seeded mode, then you can enter what seed you want to play, and it'll generate the same layout with that seed every time. So Bard is a funny character because this is kind of like a nice tutorial character. This is actually kind of how the NecroDancer was before he became the NecroDancer. And Bard, as you can see, does not actually have to play to the beat. You just take your turns whenever you want, and the enemies just follow that. So you can play Bard as fast as you want right here, and we're going to just type in whatever seed that LusTher has prepared and just go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, as you can see, there he goes.
Yeah, and aside from only having 2 health and kind of abiding to this no beat rule, Bard plays basically the same as Cadence, which is the base character. So.
C'est un peu plus rapide de reprendre comme ça, notamment que de.
When Arya died earlier, there was also a respawn. Were they allowed to respawn once and not reset the seed, or did I miss a reset?
It looks like the respawn is a mod that's enabled just for marathon safety, because normally that does not happen.
Yeah, you don't get respawns like ever in this game outside of getting the potion.
Yeah, if your run is over, then if you die, then your run is normally over. So, but it's fine. So this Bard run's gonna go by real quick, especially since we're playing seeded. So we've probably practiced this seed a bit and know what's coming up. So we can play this extremely fast, and I can see why this seed was picked, because we spawned a leprechaun, and to put things short, we can get a lot of gold from the leprechaun. We can buy this axe. The axes are by far the most broken weapon type in the entire game. Laurie, would you like to explain why?
So, yeah, we didn't get to talk about weapon types because Arya can only hold the base dagger, but the axe is definitely broken. Pretty much what the axe lets you do is it kind of has a like cone damage radius, so you can attack directly in front of you like a dagger, or 2 tiles in front of you it hits in like a 3-tile line. And if you hit any of the like 3-tile line, it actually lunges, which means it like dashes, which means it moves you forward while you attack. So it has one of the bigger damage radiuses of a weapon in the game, while also letting you move while attacking, which is a really, really strong thing to be able to do in this game. There are not a lot of weapons that let you do that, and all of them are very highly regarded.
Yeah, even the other move attack weapons aren't even nearly as broken as the axe, despite like how good they are. That just really shows how broken the axe is. So we're already like in zone 4, like 2 minutes into this run. We've got a shield spell and an earth spell. We also have a shield of strength for +1 damage. So a 3 damage axe is just absolutely ridiculous, and we're just charging through.
Yeah. Titanium axe is really nice for consistency. There's a potion.
And we also have winged boots, which allow us to float over obstacles, so almost any kind of floor hazard is no longer a problem, like goo or spikes or anything like that.
Yeah, we also have a very funny combo of Obsidian Shovel and Miner's Cap, which Miner's Cap lets you like kind of dig while moving in advance, and Obsidian Shovel makes your dig strength based off of your coin multiplier, which means it can dig at max coin multiplier, I think pretty much everything except for shop walls. And like walls like these, which are meant to denote the border of a level and are completely undiggable.
Attention, on a une sécurité, on a une potion de sécurité.
Yeah, it's fine because we do have a potion on deck, so even if we take another hit, the potion will pop on its own, refill us back to full health, and with 3 hearts and it being barred, and a shield spell on deck, I'm not worried about this, so the potion's popped right there. So you can see Zone 5 is going by much, much faster now that we have a whole bunch of equipment instead of starting with it.
Yeah.
Like, we're already on 5-3 right here. I haven't even been keeping track of which boss is left. I think it's Coral Rift. No, it's Deep Blues right here. So we're just going to mop up the chess pieces, which is extremely easy to do with the axe, and that is time on Bard.
Assez rapide.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the things people can do with Bard, especially seated, is it's goofy, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, even like unseated is ridiculous. There are players that have like times under 2 minutes unseated on Bard because their matching speed is just absolutely ridiculous. So a really great pair of runs from LusTher. Really, really fun. Happy to watch that. Happy to commentate with you, Laurie.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You both did a very good job. I don't have to say anything. Investment is so fast too. Like the Bard run just reminded me of like it as if it was like a more mystery dungeon aspect where you actually lead the beats and then the enemies are taking their turn just after.
Yeah, there's just so much like depth to this game that it's impossible to go over every single little thing, and we just always try and do the best we can. Yeah, like I said, there are like well over 15 characters in this game, and you can definitely find at least a couple that are pretty fun to main in. But this game just has so much replay value, so...
It makes me wonder, since I've been a couple of months, have there been like mods that added music and the game adapts to the beat of those music?
We do have multiple mods, and even like, we actually do have Hatsune Miku as a new DLC for Synchrony, and she actually does have her own music track.
Yeah, I think if you like put custom music into a pack, it does try to adapt to that like BPM, which is why I think for leaderboards, like the in-game leaderboards, it only really counts if you're running
one of the
like
many
a standard
OSTs,
yeah,
which are
like
all excellent, by the way.
Yes, it's very good to know because it's been, how long has it been? It's been like 9 years since it got released, like 2016, 2015?
It was 2015,
Something like that.
yeah. So the original release of this game was 2015, and the amplified DLC was 2 years later in 2017. And then, thanks to a lot of dedication from community members, what was originally going to be Synchrony as just a kind of standalone multiplayer mod became a full-fledged, developed DLC, and that was just we just finished that like out of early access last year. Like it was a long time between that and Amplified, and it was just the community has grown, and it's just really cool to see active development on this game still.
It's good to see how much the community is still kicking on. The Crypt of the NecroDancer had some more content as it is. But yes, so this is the end of this. So we have a little bit of swappings set up going on. So we won't be changing with List of the NecroDancer yet. We have the 4 Legends, the Legends of the 4 Swords adventure. Swapping in between before the List of the NecroDancer run. If the Wanderer that is late has indeed arrived, otherwise there might be another swapping, but yeah. Currently 4 Swords in next, and I will be ending my shift for today and will be swapping host with Samayoshi just after a couple transition. Thank you for passing by, Laurie and ZELLLOOO.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Alright. We'll be taking a little break before the next run.